What's up, Heat fans? Loaded Heat report on tap today. The Golden State Warriors reportedly want Jimmy Butler. Nikola Jovic is hurt. And then we have a draft trade rumor that I want to discuss with everyone and why I think the Heat should look into a specific trade for the 2024 NBA draft. But we start with Jimmy Butler because Nick Friedell, who covers the Golden State Warriors, dropped a report earlier today saying that Jimmy Butler's name has popped up in the conversation. I think it's a fit on paper, but I'm not sure how he fits into that locker room as the alpha personality that he is. And I don't know if after all the wear and tear on his knees, the Warriors would want to give him that extension. That would scare the hell out of me. Well, I find it interesting that the Warriors have discussed the potential possibility of going out and trading for Jimmy Butler. But I will say this, I don't think Jimmy Butler is getting traded. I've stood pretty firm on that stance. I've said it on Twitter. I've said it here. I've said it on other Heat shows. I just don't see a world where Pat Riley and Jimmy Butler part ways and they send him to a different team. Now, it is all dependent on the extension, and if anything is the most likely scenario here, it's that Jimmy Butler and the Heat don't sign an extension and then he opts out and leaves in free agency next season. But in case you have not heard or have not seen what Jimmy Butler wants in the contract situation, let me outline it for you. So he is under contract for this upcoming season, $48.8 million. And then the following season in 2025-2026, he has a player option for $52.4 million. But because of his age, he can't sign an extension that is a max due to the new CBA rules past his age 37 season. So he wants to cash in for a 2-year supermax right now. And what that max would do him is guarantee next season. So it's not a player option. It would be guaranteed at $54.3 million. So it's a $2 million boost in that 25-26 year, but it also adds really only 1 year onto the contract in 26-27 where he would get $58.6 million. That is what Jimmy wants. You're only really giving him 1 extra year if you extend him for $58 million. I have no issue doing that, but I want you to predict it for me. This is not what you want. It's not like what I want. I just want you to actually give a prediction. Will the Heat give Jimmy an extension this offseason? Type Y for yes or type N for no. I see a lot of different opinions in the chat on what you guys want to do, but this is not what you want or think. It's just a prediction, yes or no. I'll say this when it comes to Jimmy Butler. I've been very open about this. I want to keep Jimmy. I want him to retire a member of the Miami Heat. But it's kind of hard to ignore if there was the outcome where you have to trade him. Like, you don't give him an extension and he requests a trade. The Golden State Warriors have a pretty enticing package that you could receive. Now, you would not be receiving all of this. I want that to be abundantly clear here. But the assets Golden State has available to deal out are very intriguing. They have a young, good wing that's super athletic and growing and still very young in Jonathan Kuminga. Their first-round pick from a year ago, Brandon Podziemski, did a lot of nice things this past season. Trace Jackson-Davis was a solid backup center and had to start at times for Golden State a year ago. Andrew Wiggins is on here. Is he the best asset? No, he's actually probably a negative asset at this point. But if there was ever going to be a trade between Golden State and Miami, Andrew Wiggins would have to be in the deal because he is one of their more expensive contracts that would help match salary because the Warriors are damn near close to the second apron, if not a second apron team right now. And then they do have 2 first-round picks available to trade in 2026 and 28. Now, I think it would unlock more first-round picks they can deal on draft night, but at least as of right now, it would just be 26 and 28. But I do want to focus in on if the Heat made a deal with the Warriors on these 2 players right here because they are the 2 headlining pieces you would get back, or at least one of them, alongside draft capital, Kuminga and Podziemski. Kuminga was a former top 10 pick when the Warriors had 2 draft selections in the first round. I believe it was the year they drafted Kuminga and Moses Moody. And he really did nice things for the Warriors. He came off the bench at times. He started. And I have openly been a fan of Jonathan Kuminga. He's able to attack the basket with ferocity and finish on top of you, but also have some finesse in finishing with finger rolls and athletic reverse layups. but he has been improving as a jumper. He has really locked down that 15-foot mid-range shot at the elbow where he's so athletic, you have to give him space or he's going to drive by you, and he utilizes that step to just walk right into a jumper that the defense is giving him. If he's able to get into the Heat system and develop a better three-point shot that's more consistent and shoot at 37-38% on 3 to 4 attempts a night, we're talking about an all-star type player that can give you 24 a night. That's how high I am on Kuminga. And Podziemski, lefty, he's crafty, he does a lot of nice things as well, and he can really shoot the pill, man. 38.5% last year, 45% from the field. I was not high on him in the draft class last year. I didn't understand the Warriors' selection of him in the early 20s of the first round, but he really proved me wrong as a do-it-all guard for Golden State. And even though you would get one of these two back, and if you're trading with Golden State, there's no way you're not getting Kuminga back because he is the one person I would ask for from the Warriors. I am still going to hold on to Jimmy Butler. I want to try to win with Jimmy. I just do. Call me sentimental. Call me someone who's living in the past. But what Butler has done for us over the last 5 seasons, I just simply can't forget that. And I would rather go down with the ship of Jimmy Butler over the next 2 seasons rather than deal him away and see him win elsewhere. I just want him to try to win in the 305, man. To me, he's the 3rd best Miami Heat player of all time. I'm being dead serious when I say that. I really do. It's been 5 years and only 5 seasons, but to me, it's Wade 1, Bron 2, Jimmy 3. I mean, not many players from Miami have been the number 1 option on 2 NBA Finals teams and went to the Eastern Conference Finals 3 times. That he's had one hell of a run, and I want to keep him in Miami so we can try to get a championship. And let's see if we can build the roster around him and Bam to try to win over the next 2 or 3 seasons. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel, by the way, because we do drop Heat videos every single day. On the road to 12,000 subscribers. We'll be live for the NBA draft. We'll be live during NBA free agency as well. So hit that sub button and lock us in for the best coverage this offseason. All right, let's move over to Nikola Jovic now because, well, this photo emerged as he is in the airport a couple days ago of himself in a walking boot. Now, it was reported that it was nothing serious, and Team Serbia, as they're holding practices, preparing for the Olympics at the end of July, they just want to take precaution. But then 5 Reasons Sports got the scoop and reported yesterday that Nikola Jovic just has a sprained ankle and will be reevaluated in 2 weeks. So nothing too concerning. It's not like it's an Achilles injury or anything that is severe that will prohibit him from being ready for training camp in October and ready for the regular season in November either. So Jovic is just going to hopefully heal up over the next 2 or 3 weeks. And he is still expected to play in the Olympics, by the way. So that is still the plan for Jovic. And I'm excited to see Nikola play on the biggest stage. We saw him play in the FIBA World Cup a year ago for Serbia, and that was really his coming out party. To me, that's where he gained a lot of confidence, and he was able to play freely for Team Serbia, be a big factor for that team, making it all the way to the finals. Yeah, Serbia made it all the way to the finals, unfortunately, where they lost to Team Germany. But either way, were on a great run, and I expect him and Nikola Jokic to be a very fun pairing to watch in this summer when they are playing in the Olympics. Let's wish Nikola Jovic a speedy recovery. That's all I want, though. I want him to make sure he's fully healthy so he can perform at his best in the Olympics and continue to evolutionize his game, because if he's going to stay a member of the Heat, they're going to need him to break out. Spam your 5s for Nikola Jovic. All right, coming up in just a second, the Heat should make this NBA draft trade with the New Orleans Pelicans, who hold the 21st pick in the first round. We'll discuss what they could possibly want and why we're talking about it in just a second. But speaking of the draft, make sure you get your Miami Heat draft hats at chatsports.com/Heat draft hats. Flat brims, curved, fitted, snapback, they have it all. Get your draft hats today. Whoever the Heat pick at 15, they'll be wearing this on that night as they head up the stage. Get yours and represent with them. One more time, chatsports.com/Heat draft hats. That link will be in the description and comments of today's video. Pick up yours today. All right, this is where the report comes in. It comes in from Christian Clark, but Evan Cedery had the aggregation here that's saying the Pelicans could trade the 21st overall pick for future second-round picks. New Orleans doesn't own any second-round capital until 2030 due to salary dumping of Devontae Graham's contract in 2023. Well, if I'm Miami, I'd be all over this because if you only have to trade 2 or 3 second-round picks to acquire a second first-round pick in this draft, I'd be all in. And even though this isn't the strongest draft in terms of star potential, there are a lot of good role players that you could find in this first round. And a team like Miami, who needs to build this roster with cheap players to put around the big-time contracts of Duncan, Rozier, Hero, Jimmy, Bam, getting another impact player at 21 could be very beneficial. And if you're asking yourself, well, what did the Heat have to trade and how many second-round picks could they offer? The Heat have 3 tradable second-round picks. They obviously have the 43rd overall pick in this draft. They have a 2026 second-round pick via the Los Angeles Lakers. And then they have a 3rd tradable second-round pick that becomes available on draft night in 2031. So hypothetically, if the Pelicans did want to trade back and get more draft capital, the Heat could send 3 second-round picks to move up 22 spots from 43 to 21. So you're really only offering 2 second-round picks in the future to move up 21 spots. I'm kind of all in on that. And like I just mentioned, you need to fill this roster out with cheap players that can complement Jimmy, Bam, and the rest of these guys because you're expected to lose Haywood Highsmith and Caleb Martin in free agency. You can replace those 2 guys with the 2 draft picks if you made that deal. Now, you expect to do that anyway with pick 43, but you could just get a better player at 21 than you can do at 43 and have more confidence in whatever player you did pick at 21 to have a better chance of competing and being a rotation player in year 1. Like, here's the thing. Like, we've been talking about a lot of prospects Miami can take at pick 15, but here's the thing. These 10 are in play. Jared McCain, Tyler Smith, Tristan Da Silva, Isaiah Collier, Kalel Ware, Yves Missi, Zach Edey, Kyle Filipowski, Jalen Tyson, and Deron Holmes. There's been some of those guys they have worked out with the Heat and could potentially be in play at 15. But if you have pick 15 and 21, you can get 2 of these guys that you see on screen. Like, that would be absolutely elite if you're the Miami Heat to get 2 of those guys. You can take a wing to replace Caleb Martin and Tristan Da Silva or Jalen Tyson, maybe Ron Holland if he slips. Or you can take a big, right? You could take Missi. And I've been very open and against Zach Edey at pick 15. But I'll say this, folks, and this one's for you, Major Anthony Nelson. If the Heat did have pick 15 and 21, and they picked a guard or forward at 15, and then picked Zach Edey at 21, I would be open to that because when you do have multiple first-round picks, I feel a little bit better if you were to use one of them on Edey because then you're not asking him to be that high-profile guy. He's just another rotation player that you're drafting. But at 15, I want a little bit of a higher upside guy. 21, I'm fine taking a backup center. But Missi, who has worked out with the Heat as of this week, out of Baylor, solid. Filipowski, like you can get good size to help Bam Adebayo in the front court, but also get guards and forwards at 15. To me, if this is true and the Pelicans are open to moving out of 21 for 2 or 3 second-round picks, I would be all in if I'm the Miami Heat, and I would call up Griffin right now and try to get a deal done prior to the NBA draft. You make the call for me, though. Do you agree with me? Would you trade all of our second-round picks to get pick number 21? Maybe it doesn't take all 3. It would at least take 2. It would at least take 2026, and it would at least take 43. But would you trade all 3 on draft night to get pick 21? Type T for trade or P for pass. That'll do it for today's video. If you want more surrounding the Miami Heat, my Twitter's the best place to find it. At Nic_Rohloff is the handle. For example, I tweeted out earlier today about a prospect that I'd like the Heat to draft if they kept the 43rd overall pick, and I showcased some of his highlights as well. That's just some of the other content you could find on my social media that you can't find on our YouTube because we can't show highlights. So go give me a follow at Nic_Rohloff. I'll have a video again tomorrow. Go Heat.